Hello everyone, my name is Danielle Perrone. I'm the Director of Marketing here at MaxLite. Welcome, thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is outdoor accessories and options. Just to go over a quick agenda of what you can expect on today's webinar, we are going to take you through some of the different brackets, adapters, accessories, and other product options and resources. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Amro Eladel. He's our product manager for the outdoor line, and he's going to take you through the webinar. I'll join you at the end for some important updates. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's good to be talking to you guys. My name is Amro Eladel. I'm the product manager for outdoor products at MaxLite, and today I wanted to run through some of our outdoor accessories as well as some options and show you some of the versatility we offer with MaxLite products. Specifically, to get started, I'd like to focus on accessories. We offer a complete line of outdoor products that cover the four main application areas: area lighting, flood lighting, canopy, and wall pack applications. And particularly when it comes to area and flood lighting, there are a number of accessories that we offer that can help you use a MaxLite solution in a retrofit application or potentially save a lot of money on a new construction project. So let me show you guys some of what we've been successful with. I'll start with what we call surface-mounted brackets. These are two brackets that can be mounted to a wall or another kind of surface, and they come in very handy where it's not possible to use a swivel or a trunnion mount. So many of you that may be familiar with flood lighting will know that traditionally it's a trunnion that gets mounted to a surface. In the case that it doesn't, for example in the case of our architectural floods or in the case of the medium floods and area lights, we don't offer that option, but we do have these wall mount brackets which are a great substitute for that. They're relatively inexpensive. There are two of them, one which is horizontal, a great product to be used with the medium area and flood luminaires, and this other bracket, which is a little bit more vertical and is a great item to use with something like the QuadraMax, the architectural floods, or the extra large area lights, which we're now offering. Again, the idea is as much as possible not only to economize on the space that you're using, but without really needing a pole, you could light up a large parking lot from the exterior of the building without necessarily having to use a pole. In a very similar vein, if you are interested in a trunnion mount, something that is very useful on the sides of buildings, also used a lot on sort of the tops of buildings or on the tops of different kinds of canopies, we do offer a swivel bracket, and it can be used with all of our medium area and flood luminaires. You might buy our existing fixture with an arm or a knuckle, and then you could replace this in the field. It's designed to be mounted pretty easily and really gives you a lot more flexibility with that same fixture. So that would cover all of the surface-mounted applications. Another area that's, I think, a good place to think about accessories is at the top of poles. Oftentimes, if you're doing a retrofit project, you get started with a set number of poles, which you can't really change, and you want to make sure that the pole-mounted fixtures you're going to be using are compatible with the poles that are up there. If a pole is pre-drilled, for example, for use with an area light or something, it means that the fixture was mounted directly to the pole. And in that case, there's no way really to go back up there and install a different kind of fixture without using one of these adapters. We offer 4 of them, and you'll notice on each of them they come with a number of tenons. So you can have 2 tenons facing 180 degrees away from each other at a 90-degree angle, and then you can have a variation of 3 or 4 tenons. And essentially what it means is that for an existing pole, you're able to top with this adapter and mount as many fixtures as you need without having to change the layout of the whole area. And again, they'd be compatible with a number of our outdoor products, particularly the medium area and floodlights, the QuadraMax, listed also the X-large area light here, but essentially anything with a 2 3/8 tenon is going to be compatible with these accessories. And the beauty of it is 4-inch square poles are incredibly popular. As long as you've got one on the job site, even if it doesn't have a tenon on it, that can be something that's added really easily. It gives you a lot more flexibility in being able to specify which fixtures you want to use. So that last slide covered what we call horizontal tenons. One other popular application area is for vertical tenons. So for instance, if you've got one pole that's relatively far from the area that's being lit up, you can have just one tenon that goes at the top of the pole, emerges vertically, and then you can have a flood mounted on the top of that. Typically it would be something much higher wattage. So the main product compatibility here would be with the architectural floods, something that would replace a high wattage 400 watt, or something even like the extra large area light, which can replace 1,000 watts. The other vertical tenon that we've got is what we call a tenon reducer. Specifically, this one goes from a 3-inch round pole to a 2 3/8 tenon. And if you guys are familiar with our post top line, that comes standard with a 2 3/8 tenon. The key advantage there is it gives you an ability to mount to a 3-inch pole, which is sometimes very common depending on the area. One other product that is very useful for poles are Bullhorn adapters. So these are our accessories that are sold essentially to accommodate a single pole. So if you've got a pole already with a 2 3/8 tenon, something like the vertical tenons we were just looking at, so just one tenon coming out of the pole, you can use a bullhorn to mount multiple fixtures on that same tenon. In other words, you might have just the one vertical tenon coming up, and then depending on how many fixtures you need to mount, you can have a bullhorn with 2 horns, 3 horns, or 4 horns, essentially to mount that many fixtures. Now traditionally, because fixtures have been so heavy and because the effective projected area for a fixture can be relatively high, there is a maximum loading for a pole. So for example, if we were talking about using a 400 watt flood or a shoebox or something that was relatively high wattage, it might be very hard to do with one of these bullhorn products because you can only mount so much weight on the pole. But one of the big advantages with LED is, first of all, the products are much more light, they're much more energy efficient, and obviously, I think most pertinent for this, is the effective projected area, the EPA, is much lower. So per pole, you can mount many more fixtures that are LED than you would have been able to with an HID fixture. And so again, one of the key application areas here is going to be for flood lighting or for general area lighting, and a very similar set of products like the ones we've already talked about. The medium area and floodlights, the architectural floods. QuadraMax is a great fit here because it's such a slim product, and ditto for the extra large area light. Again, all products that can be used have great lumen packages, and essentially using only 1 or 2 poles, you can light up a much larger area using one of these bullhorns. Another product that we get a lot of requests for is a different kind of adapter. So traditionally in a lot of landscape lighting, and I think in general for a lot of the tenons that we've just talked about, the outer diameter of the tenon is 2 3/8 inches, as I've mentioned over and over again. But many of our lower wattage products, specifically on floods, which are very relevant for landscape lighting, they come with a 1/2-inch threaded nipple for mounting. And the accessory that we've got listed here is an adapter that'll let you go from that wider 2 3/8 tenon to something that's just a 1/2 inch in order for you to be able to mount these. So it's very useful for something like a bullet, a small flood, or in particular one of our architectural floods that comes with that 1/2-inch threaded nipple. And I mention it for these 3 products specifically because you'll notice that all of them consume less than 50 watts, but they tend to replace much higher wattage fixtures. So I think on the architectural floods and also the bullets, you're talking about replacing a 150 watt, even a 175 watt metal halide lamp. And because those wattages are so high, the fixtures that you're going to be replacing are likely to be on a 2 3/8 tenon instead of this smaller 1/2 inch. And this is a good way to make sure that you can address both. Moving on, I think if you guys have been listening intently, one of the good questions that you'll have is, how do I know which adapter to use where? And it's a great question. We do offer a lot of accessories, but we also want to make sure that they're actually accessible to people and it's clear that where they're pertinent. So one of the things that we've been doing, you'll notice it on a number of data sheets, and increasingly we'll do it on all of the data sheets going forward, we're going to list relevant accessories right on the data sheet. So typically this will be at the bottom of the first page, right where you would see our ordering table. You'll also see a little table that lists, say, the top 3 relevant accessories. So in this case, we're looking at the medium area light, and one of the big accessories for it is a slip fitter knuckle, which I didn't discuss in our presentation, but it's something that's very useful for floodlight mounting. Another useful accessory there is a glare or a house side shield. You'll see a little picture there, but it's just something to show your customers or your reps on that very first page of the accessories which are most relevant to that product. Another recent upgrade to our marketing materials has been on the actual data sheet we use for accessories. We still offer the same number of accessories, it's just that we've updated it to this newer format. You'll notice running along the left side of the page, it's broken down by application, surface mounted, pole mounted, and so on. And then also the horizontal and the vertical accessories that we talked about. Generally, I think an easier way to navigate the kinds of accessories that you'd be looking for. And last but not least, available on our website, on every product page, there is a section called Options and Accessories. We'll talk a little bit more about options in the next slide. Accessories, remember, are products that are offered by MaxLite, which are sold separately from the main luminaire that you're buying. Here, we have updated a few of our products online. We'll continue to update them going forward. So this is a good place to look. But again, if you're not able to find an accessory listed here, the data sheet for the product is the right place to start. I also wanted to spend some time today talking about product options. So the key difference between an option and an accessory is that an accessory is an item that's sold separately, whereas an option is typically factory installed. So when it comes to outdoor products, some of the options that we offer for a lot of our products include battery backup units or motion and daylight sensors, also photo control receptacles, a number of different options that you guys may have seen spread across our lineup. And this is something that we do get requests for, and want to make sure that all of you have the right information and the right tools to be able to look that up in all of our marketing material. Actually, let's stick here for a second. The first place to look for one of these options would be on the datasheet. You'll notice that on the left in that product datasheet, there's a section called Controls, and it calls out the kind of control with the specifications that's used for the photo control. There's also a section that calls out the motion and daylight sensor. So you can read through it really quickly, but in this case, the motion daylight sensor actually is a unit that can be set in the field. And so the datasheet gives you sort of a brief set of information about what you can do. Obviously, if you're interested in something that's a little bit more in depth, on the next slide, you'll notice that there are two other places typically that'll provide a lot more information about options. One of them is a supplementary datasheet. So in this case, I pulled up the datasheet for the outdoor motion sensor option. You'll notice here it mentions the product series that are affected or for which that motion sensor applies. And it'll give you a little bit more information, for example, about how that can be set in the field, different ratings for that kind of motion and daylight sensor, and really anything else that you'd be interested in about that particular option. Also available, typically on our instruction manuals, are instructions on how to set that option in the field. So you guys will see one here for a motion sensor that's installed on a utility wrap fixture. It shows how it's mounted, the wiring diagram, and some of the other field adjustable settings that come with the product. Again, I don't think that we have supplementary data sheets for all of our options, but on every single place where it's applicable, there will be information on the datasheet and there will be information on the instruction manuals. So with that said, I hope it's a little bit more help for you guys on navigating different product accessories and options, and I look forward to telling you a little bit more about MaxLite the next time.
Thanks, Amro. So most of you guys hopefully are aware of the fact that we recently reduced our prices of almost all of our outdoor products by an average of 20%. In some cases, it goes up over 40%. What you may not be aware of, this is brand new information, super, super exciting. As of August 1st, MaxLite is going to be offering free freight on all outdoor products. So stay tuned for additional information on that, but you heard it here first. Again, to state the promotion, outdoor products, all outdoor products, will have a free freight offer beginning August 1st. So very, very exciting news there. And then just a quick update as it relates to outdoor products, more specifically QuadraMax. I'm not sure if you guys are aware that we have QuadraMax.com. That's a dedicated website centered around QuadraMax, all of the features and benefits, the videos, the IES files, so on and so forth. So please, if you haven't already done so, check out QuadraMax.com. MaxLite University reminder, please know that this course has been updated to include LED information, LED technology, fixtures, lamps, Energy Star, and other certifications. If you have new staff members or anyone who's interested in being trained on the lighting industry as a whole, this is certainly the ideal course for them to take. At the completion of the course, they do receive a certificate, and this is free to our customers, so very, very nice perk. And lastly, our utility rebate services. Again, this just serves as a reminder that we have a lot of services available as it relates to rebates. We have a C&I rebate finder, we have flyers, we have a custom rebate calculator, so on and so forth. We do offer utility rebate paperwork services. Joe Pater is your man for all of this, so feel free to contact him if you have a need. And I think that's all for today. I hope you guys have a great weekend. At this point, we'd like to open up the floor to any questions or comments that you guys may have. We will stay on the line for a few minutes to receive your questions and comments. Thank you again. Great weekend to all.